YouTube, and welcome to another beer review. My name is Travis and this is Cheer to Beers. Tonight we are looking at a beer out of Georgia. This is by Terrapin Brewery in Athens, Georgia. It is their Rye Pale Ale, and this is a year-round offer, one of their regular beers they brew all the time, and you can probably get all the time. Can't get it here in Ohio, but I had some family go down to Florida and they brought some beer back for me, so I'll probably be seeing a few brews from down south. This one comes in at 5.5% ABV and it is 35 IBUs. This beer came out in April of 2002 and it actually won an award, I think, in the American Pale Ale category for a gold medal actually in 2002 for the Great American Beer Festival. So pretty excited to try this one, and heard a lot of good things, so let's get into it and see what we got. It almost looked kind of gold in the pour, and the head was really not much there at all. Not an okay looking beer, nothing too crazy, but the smell's really good. It's kind of this syrupy smell with a pretty pungent hop smell, and you definitely do get some of that maybe sweetness from that rye. It's definitely a pretty good smelling beer. Yeah, you can tell that rye's in there. You kind of get a bready, earthy smell, and then but it definitely smells very sweet, and those hops are just kind of pretty prevalent for being a pale ale. This smells pretty darn hoppy. Really excited to try this, guys. Let's get into it. Cheers. First thing I notice is I love the mouthfeel. It smells really sweet and sticky, but it's not. It's very, very light, super light on the tongue. Goes down really easy. Super drinkable beer. And then in the taste, you're not getting as many hop tastes as I thought I would. It's kind of earthy, very earthy hops. Nothing too fruity in there really at all. Pretty earthy, floral kind of hops in there. And then you do get that rye. The rye is really the backbone of this beer, accentuated by the hops, I would say. Very well rounded though. Yeah, you can definitely get the bitterness from the hops on your tongue. Not too much though, it's almost just enough. And then you do get the taste of the hops. And it's kind of rye. You can tell that rye malt really comes out throughout this whole beer, and then it's kind of, but it also is really, really drinkable. So this beer is pretty awesome, actually. I definitely love this, especially it's not a style I see a lot, but a rye pale ale is pretty interesting. But let me sip on this one for a little bit, and I'll come back with my final thoughts and my rating on Terrapin's Rye Pale Ale. Time for my final thoughts and my rating on the Terrapin Rye Pale Ale. This is one of their year-round beers, along with their Hops Executioner and their Golden Ale. The Hops Executioner is an IPA. So, and this beer is actually pretty stellar for a Rye Pale Ale. I was pretty surprised, actually. I wasn't expecting too much. I've had some people tell me that Terrapin makes a pretty good beer, but I haven't really had much of it. So this one actually is, I would say, probably stands out of the crowd compared to some other rye beers that I've had. I haven't had a lot, but I've had a few that I can kind of judge this one off of. And really, this is very rye forward, but it's not too rye forward to where it's it's going to be it's not going to be a drinkable beer. It's going to be just too much rye. And really, it's the hops kind of take their place in this beer in the right way. It's very balanced. It's kind of a it's supposed to be a rye pale ale, so you do get that rye, you get the hops in there, and it's very, very drinkable. I would say that this is a very, very good rye pale ale. And I'm trying to lean. I guess I'm gonna try to lean towards style on this one. I want to say like an 8.5. But yeah, I think I didn't want to do. I'm not gonna do halves on my ratings. I would say an 8.5, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with an 8. It is definitely a great rye pale ale, and it's giving you a little more than a typical. Probably any other typical rye pale ale would. It's giving you a little bit more because I think they use enough hops and a good amount of that rye to just really get it to where it needs to be, and it's very drinkable. So it's an 8 out of 10 on the Terrapin Rye Pale Ale. If you can get this beer, I would seek it out. This would definitely be a go-to beer for me if I could get it in Ohio, which I can't. So I'm really glad that my family brought it back for me. I have 5 more of these, so I'm definitely going to be enjoying these throughout. But guys, until my next review, cheers.